Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you're doing well today on this Thursday afternoon. We're going to do a few Rashis from the fifth Aliyah of this parsha of Lecha. Yesterday, we talked a little bit about the war of the four kings and the five kings and the aftermath of that experience for Avram Avinu. Our Aliyah, it's sort of in the middle of our Aliyah, in the beginning of Parak Tesvav. The Torah says, Achar hadvarim ha'ele, after these things, meaning after the war, after the experience of the war, of saving Lot, of Avram meeting Melchizedek, and of Avram refusing any reward from the human kings in order to be able to highlight that all of his wealth really comes from Hashem. After all of that, all those experiences, Hayad var Hashem al Avram b'machazel emor, Hashem appears to Avram in a prophecy to say, Al tira Avram, anochi magen lach scharcha harbe mehod. Don't worry, I will protect you, and your schar, your reward, will be great. The implicit question here is, of course, we never see that Avram is worried. What is he worried about, right? Why is Hashem coming to him and saying, Al tira? Must be that Hashem knows that he's worried about something. So based on the end of the pasuk, Chazal and Rashi surmise what Avram Avinu must have been worried about. Achar shenasa lo nes, v'hayadoeg shemen iskabel schar kol tzidkuso, lekach amar lo al tira anochi magen lach. He was worried that because of the miracles that occurred to him in the war and his great success, that perhaps all of his merit had run out. We see this theme by all of the Avos. We see it now by Avram Avinu. We see it later by Yaakov. People are worried that when God was too good to them, so to speak, in this world, that their reward has run out. We see every time Hashem's reassurance that that's not the case, which is perhaps a lesson to us that we can't think that way either. We can't know Hashem's calculations and what runs out and what doesn't run out, and what's the reward in this world, and what's the reward in the world to come, and what looks like a reward here in an ACO, but it's actually a Nisayan, it's actually a test. Who knows? We don't know. We operate our life the best we can based on the rules of the Torah, doing the best that we can, and Hashem takes care of the rest. But Hashem does reassure Avram here, who is worried that his merit has run out. And he says to him a couple of things. Number one, Anochi magen lach, I'm going to protect you, min ha'onesh, from all punishment. And secondly, that specifically the punishment of killing all those people in the war. So if you're worried about the aftermath of the war, that your merit has run out, number one, I'll protect you from any punishment for all of the deeds that you did. And masha tadoeg al kibul scharcha harbe mehod. And if you're worried not about being punished, but you're worried about continuing to get a reward, continuing to gain my protection and my goodness in this world, you have nothing to worry about. Your reward will be very great. Avram Avinu is thankful, seemingly, but then he turns to Hashem with the ultimate request, which is the request for a child. And that's his ultimate goal here in this conversation, not just to be protected from punishment in case his merit ran out, and not just to be afforded reward in case his merit ran out, which is what Hashem reassures him of, but really the main request he has is to continue the promise Hashem makes to him to be able to have kids. And because of that request, Hashem tells him the beautiful pasuk, which we know of and which we read about and we actually think about. Vayotze oso achutza, he takes him outside. Vayomer, he says to him, Habeit na hashamayim u'sfora kochavim. Go out and count the stars. Im tuchal lisporotam, if you can count them. See if you can count them. Vayomer lo ko yazarech. And of course, you won't be able to count them. So you should know that those will be your descendants, that there'll be a multiplicity of descendants that will come from you, Avram. You have nothing to worry about. So not only does he reassure him magen lach and scharcha harbe mehod, but also ko yezarecha, that you will have progeny and that they will be multiplice like the stars of the heavens. A lot to say about the image of the star in the heavens and comparison to the other images which Hashem gives about the multiplicity of the Jewish people, the sands on the sea, the dust of the earth. But we'll leave that for another time. Right now, I want to just explain some of the words in this pasuk. Vayotze oso hachutza. He takes him outside. So what does that mean? He takes him outside. So Rashi says, Hapshat, hotzio me'oalo el hachutz liros hakochavim. The pshat is, he was inside, meaning in his tent, and he takes him outside in order to be able to see the stars, to further this analogy that he's giving to him, this message and this bracha. That's one perspective. I'm going to skip to the end for a second. Davar acher, another perspective is hotzio mechalolo shel olam v'yigbio lamala min hakochavim v'zeh lashon habeit milamala lamata. He says perhaps there was a miracle. He was not only encouraging and prodding Avram to leave his tent and go outside into the air and see the stars, But actually, in a more active form, vayotze, he takes him out. He takes him out of chalalo shalolim. He takes him out of the airspace of this world altogether, and actually takes him, like William Shatner this week, up to space, right? All the way up to space, up to above the stars. Lahavdil. And he shows him the stars from above. He says, look down, see all those stars. Habet, look, is like habita, look over there, sounds like milamala lamata, from up to down, as opposed to the other interpretation of Rashi, where he would be looking up, meaning from down to up. So those are two possibilities. But the middle one is what I think is most interesting. It's not the pshat, and it's not the medrash, but it's just a logical conclusion from this pasuk. He calls it medrash because it's more homiletical than textual, but Rashi says, ha-medrash, say mitztagninu shelcha, shira'isa b'mazalos eincha atid lahamid ben. Avram ein lo ben, Abraham yeh lo ben. Sarai lo teled, Sarah teled. Ani koreh lecha shem acher, v'yishtane hamazal. He tells him, vayotze oso achutza, go outside, I'm taking you outside. So either it's outside his tent, or outside the world, or now Rashi suggests outside his mentality, outside his thinking. Get rid of all of the preconceived notions that you have, that you've either assumed, or that people have told you, or that the astrologers have told you, or something like that. Get all of that out of your head and realize that my promise to you will actually be fulfilled. Even if in all those other realms you realize you're not going to have children, I'm going to show you that you will. And I think it's a beautiful lesson for all of us. We sometimes have to not only physically move from space to space in order to change our thinking, but get out of our own heads, get out of our own echo chambers, get out of our own assumptions and prejudices that we've had, which sort of lock us into a way of thinking. Once you get out of that, you can start to see multiple possibilities. Hashem sees Avram is so concerned over here. He says, Al tira Avram, don't be worried. He sees Avram coming to Mati ten li anochi olech ariri. I have no children. What's going to be of me? And Hashem says to him, you will have children. You just have to think about this in a little bit of a different way. Now, we can't understand Hashem's calculations and the nisim that he provides, but we can sometimes convince ourselves or encourage ourselves to just change a little bit and go out of our normal way of thinking in order to see a broader realm of possibilities. And that experience itself can sometimes be helpful and can sometimes be freeing and can sometimes be empowering, whether or not we see those changes come about, whether or not we have Hashem coming to us in a prophecy and telling us this will happen, whether or not the nisim will come to us in the way that we expect them or not. But just in the moment, that freedom to think differently can sometimes be helpful in and of itself. Thank you all and have a wonderful day. Be well.
Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.
Sure.